All right, Shalom. I'm the brother Tasiyat coming back with another video. But before I start off, I would like to give all praises and the highest honor to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Makakodash. I want to give double honor to my elder apostles and teachers of Great Millstone, and peace and salutation to the sincere Akim across this world, who are spreading this knowledge and truth and sincerity. And shalom to the few sincere brothers and sisters out there who are also listening, and may the election be upon your households. God shalom. So today I want to make a video about keep growing. Okay, so when you are in this truth, you are not supposed to stay on the same level. Okay, you are supposed to be growing. Whether you are growing at a fast pace, whether you are growing in a slow pace, you have to grow. Okay, a baby is not gonna be drinking milk for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, 8 years. You know, eventually a baby is gonna need to eat real food. Okay, so a baby is not only gonna be drinking milk the whole day and expect him to be in his full potential at that age. Okay, like that baby from Christian and Blueface, if I'm correct, their child is 4 years old or 3 years old, and he still cannot walk. You know, so how can you be 3 or 4 years old and still not walk? That's the same in his truth. How can you be years in his truth and you are not growing? Okay, now you have to decide the sincere milk of the scriptures, which is certain basic things like, not basic as in easy, but basic as in important things to know when you come into this truth at first, and which are a bit easier to understand before you go into deep breakdowns, which is so-called meat. Okay, if you compare with food, like meat is like going in all the breakdowns of the book of Revelation, all these things, man. But milk is, for example, knowing that you are an Israelite, knowing who are the real Hebrew Israelites, the so-called Negroes, so-called Latinos, so-called Native Americans. Okay, what happened to us? Okay, knowing about the transatlantic slave trade that is linked, with Deuteronomy chapter 28. Okay, and the last verse 68, if I'm correct. Okay, knowing the name of the Most High, that his name is Yahweh, not just God. Okay, or Jehovah. Those are not the real names. Okay, his real name is Yahweh. Knowing the name of his son, which is Yahweh Shai, not Jesus Christ. Okay, Yahweh Shai. Okay, knowing that we are the Israelites, and that we are gonna be in the kingdom, which is gonna be upon this planet Earth. Okay, understanding that not everybody's gonna be saved, but only the Israelites are gonna be saved. These are the basic things that you need to know when you come into this truth. Okay, knowing that you're gonna be ruling this planet Earth in righteousness, knowing that you are royalty. All right, and then you can go into deeper breakdowns. But like I said, man, if you are only busy with milk, but are not making a translation to eating a bit of mashed potato or small pieces of carrot or broccoli, you just eating, and you're just drinking milk the whole day, you're not really gonna grow. Here it is, you're almost 6, 7 years old, but just you only eating milk, only drinking milk. Okay, you're supposed to multiply your talents, like Yahweh Shai said, man. He gave his servants pounds, and they had to multiply the talents, man. And the servant that did not do anything with his money, so-called, with his talent, Yahweh Shai took everything that he had, and he gave it to another brother. Okay, so if you are stagnant, if you are not supposed to, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing in this truth, the Lord will take it away from you. He will kick you out of this truth. You're gonna fall back into this world, and your blessings, your spiritual bank account that you build up is gonna go to another brother. So you should be fearful of basically being in a state of not growing, of being stagnant. Anyway, this is First Peter chapter 2, verse 2. As newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that you may grow thereby. Okay, like if you are a baby is gonna, when he's newly born, he's gonna drink maybe what, 10 milliliters of milk. Then the next day it might be 15. Then the day after that it might be 20, 25, and so forth and so forth. Then after a while, after a few months, you're gonna add um, some grain with it. Milk with grain. Then after a while, you're gonna add some stronger grain. Then after a while, you're gonna give him some mashed fruits to eat, mashed vegetables to eat. Then he starts getting his teeth. You might give him small pieces of real food, like a small piece of chicken, make him taste what it's like, so he can grow. Okay. And not only with the food, he's also physically growing, and he's learning how to crawl, how to walk, how to stand, how to walk, then how to run, how to keep his balance, okay, how to talk. All these things are gonna come once he gets older and older. Okay. So once you come into this truth and you growing, you're also gonna face more difficulties, but you're also gonna be able to withstand them and to go through them, because you yourself have also be getting stronger. These demons out here, they're gonna become stronger once you come into this truth, and you are years into this truth. Do you really think you're gonna face the same level of demons that you had the first six months you came into this truth? Of course not. Okay, it's gonna feel way more intense, but still, you got to keep on fighting. You got to keep on growing. How do you grow? By being in discomfort. When you go to the gym, how do you grow your muscles? Your muscles first have to basically rip, and then once the healing comes, that's how you grow. In the gym, you're not gonna grow by just doing 10 push-ups and 10 squats the whole day. You gotta do more and more. Every time you go, you add a little bit more weight, or you add a little bit more repetitions. Okay. And then once you have like 3 sets or 4 sets of 15 repetitions, and you're doing it with ease, the weight is not beneficial for you anymore. You got to up in the weight now. So basically, growing is something that can happen, that needs to happen over time. And in some cases, with certain brothers, it happens a bit slower. With other brothers, it happens a bit faster. Like with plants, not every plant or tree grows at the same rate, right? But it still grows. Okay. You still have to grow. It's not good to be, like 6, 7, 8 plus years in the truth and still just having grown maybe 5% compared to once you just came to this truth. You always should be striving for more. Okay. Pushing, doing more studies, studying breakdowns, telling more and more people about this truth. Okay. If it's your lot to make videos, you make videos. If it's your lot to go out there and teach on the highways and byways, then you go teach on the highways and byways. Always gotta be pushing for the most, man. All right. So this is Hebrews. Wait, let me see. Let me read this. Isaiah 28 verse 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breasts. So you cannot skip over this part, man. If you are a baby, you cannot skip over the part where you first need to consume milk. If you're gonna give a baby pasta and meat and what else, man, fries, he doesn't even have the stomach yet to digest it. He's gonna choke on it, man. It's gonna be too much for him. So once you come into this truth, don't try to absorb all the deep breakdowns and deep questions right away, man. Take your time with it, man. Otherwise, you're gonna choke out and your foundation is not gonna be strong. Okay, make sure that your roots are strong in this truth. So anyway, Hebrews 5:12. For the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again. So if you want to be a teacher, somebody has to teach you again. Okay, somebody has to teach you the fundamentals in this truth before you can go out there and teach others. Okay, not just breakdowns, but also knowing how to behave yourself and how to treat brothers. How to treat one another. That's also a big part of this truth. Okay. So 1 second, let me make this turn. It says here, which be the first principles of the oracles of Yahweh. So the teachers need to teach you the principles, so the most important things the foundations of being in His truth and following Yahweh Bashem Yashai. Okay, and are become such as have need of milk. So you have to become such as have need of milk, meaning you got to become like a little child, like a newborn babe. Even though you are physically maybe in your 20s, in your 30s, some in your 40s, and you come into this truth, you cannot go back into your mother's womb and become a baby. But it's symbolically that you have to be like a baby in your mind when it comes to the truth. Okay, when it comes to this knowledge, all the things that you have learned, basically when you were in this world, you got to unlearn and make room for the real truth. Okay, you got to unlearn the fake name of Jesus, unlearn the fake name Jehovah. Okay, unlearn the fake image of Jesus Christ with so-called long hair. Okay, unlearn the fact that Jesus came to save everybody. Okay, you got to unlearn these things that they have been teaching you in church. And if you have not been going to church, there are many other things that you also have to unlearn to make room for the milk again. You know, it says, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. Okay, strong meat. You're not gonna give a baby meat to eat because he's gonna choke. He doesn't even have the stomach ready for it. He doesn't even have one tooth yet. You know, but you're gonna give him a whole steak. Makes no sense. It says, for everyone that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness. So if you are still on the level of consuming milk, meaning you only know the basics of the truth, you're still unskillful. Okay? For he is a babe, you are like a baby. But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age. And when are you of full age? Your years that you are in this truth and you're in the experience. Let me say the experience that you get in this truth. Because you can be like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years in this truth, not really doing anything to grow. So then you're gonna, in understanding, you're gonna still be as a baby. But you can be 5, 6, 7 years in this truth and constantly busy with growing, pushing yourself, you know, and basically have more understanding than somebody that is longer in this truth, you know, with certain aspects. Okay, but that person that's longer in his truth, of course, you gotta respect that person because he's, you know, being longer in this truth than you for a reason, you know, and he has survived many trials. You can best believe that is not something light to be years and years in his truth. Okay, so like I said, man, somebody that is 12, 13 years in his truth might not be as well developed as scriptural knowledge as somebody that is way less longer in his truth. Okay, so that's why you got to be proactive and constantly seek out the best version of yourself in his truth. You know, get more knowledge, more wisdom, more understanding. You are never done with learning in this truth, man. It says, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Okay, and that's what you have to do. You have to exercise when you are in this truth, and that is what the elders, elder bishops, you know, elder bishops, apostles, they are more, you know, well exercised in this truth with the scriptures. You know. 1 second. Park. Gone. So when are you of becoming of a full age in this truth? When is that? Well, let's read Wisdom of Solomon chapter 4 verse 8. For honorable age is not that which standeth in length of time. Meaning, if you are 28 years old, you're not all of a sudden honorable or a wise person. Okay? Let's say you are 28, but you have been 1 year in the truth. Somebody that is 19 or 20 years old, but has been like 3 or 4 years in the truth, you know, actually is older. He's older in the spirit, you know. It says, nor that is measured by number of years, but wisdom is the gray hair unto men. So the knowledge, wisdom, understanding that you get, that is when you are in this truth, the years, the months, the days that you spend being in this truth, that is what gives you the the full age. You know, that is what makes you older. You know, in a good sense. Okay, more wisdom. And an unspotted life is old age. Okay, not committing any sins. You know, at least trying to, of course. Okay, so like I said, you can be longer in this truth 10, 15 years, but you're not really busy with doing a lot of studies or a lot of breakdowns. Okay, you sometimes watch a video here, left and right. So you're not gonna be as well exercised as somebody that is maybe like 2 or 3 years less in his truth, but he is doing the exercise of his mind. He is doing a lot of studies. He is doing a lot of prayers. He is teaching a lot of people. You know, that's just what it is. You know, but still you gotta have respect for the person that is longer in his truth, because of course he's gonna have a certain experience in his life being in his truth, man. So anyway, Yahweh Tassah, that was edifying in truth and sincerity. And with that, I want to give all praises and highest honor to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakodash. I want to give double honor to my elder apostles and teachers of Great Millstone, and peace and salutation to the sincere Akiam across this world, who are spreading this knowledge and truth and sincerity. And shalom to the few sincere brothers and sisters out there who are also listening, and may the election be upon your households. God shalom.